Warning. The following video contains spoilers for the inner workings and behind-the-scenes processes of the Project 863 series. If you do not wish to be spoiled on future or past videos, nor have the spell of the series broken, you have been warned.
Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, welcome to the Behind 863 podcast. This is episode 11 or 12. I never really know.
Tanner, you said 10 for like
the last three.
You said 10, and everyone in the comments was like,
it's
where's 7, 8, or 9?
So here's the thing. So you guys know, because everyone's probably curious. I did put that it was 10 as the title on accident. I don't even know how that happened. It must have been, I think I just put like a random one in the Notion page and I never corrected it. And so then I just assumed. So I put 10 as the title. I went, switched the title, and edited the Spellbound post, and it still never changed the title. So the title of that one still says episode 10, even though it's not. I've been trying to fix it, and I don't know why it's not updating.
What? That's so strange.
Bizarre.
Super goofy. So that was number 8. So you're right. We're on number 11 now.
Well, but then it was funny because so that day we had shot another one, and at the beginning you were like, "This is podcast number 10," and then that when I saw that you had uploaded one that said number 10, I was like, "Oh no!"
You never know who you can
It's not
trust.
number 10.
Do you trust the title? Do you trust what I'm saying in the video? Just know it's a different podcast, and it will be correct in the title from now on. Just that one time.
What was
Sorry.
that?
Sorry, that was my nails
I thought it
hitting.
was your knuckles.
Yeah,
I was
those
like,
are your
wow.
Those are loud nails.
Yeah.
So on today's episode of the podcast, we're going to give, maybe a brief rundown of what we shot last week. Hear from you three who were in the shoot as to what went on, what happened. And then we're not going to talk about this week's shoot because no spoilers. Bailey and Samantha cannot be spoiled.
Yes,
So
easy.
We are
Liz,
so pure.
don't slippy that mouth.
I do
okay?
have to say,
Slippy slop that mouth.
Don't slippy slop that mouth around here, okay?
Are we talking? Wait, sorry. We're talking about last week's episode that we.
What did
filmed?
we film
Okay.
last week?
It was
Oh,
the
the
floor.
floor.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it was really funny because Izzy was doing work in Red Base, and he comes up to me and he was like, "Woods redid the floor in the other room." I was like, "Oh." Did he? And he was like, "Yeah, it looks really good." And and when he said that, I was like, "I have a feeling I wasn't supposed to know."
Oopsie doopsie.
So then when we walked in that room when we were filming, I was very aware of the floor.
Well, to give some context, obviously people have seen the video, right? If they're watching this?
Yes.
Okay. So the whole bit about the floor being different, there was a whole conversation that was captured or that wasn't captured on camera after we left that room for the first time, or when we paused. Bailey had to go run and get, I don't know if it was batteries or something, or
Yeah, I
I
think
don't know.
so.
It was a weird transition moment, but it was before we had torn up the floor. And Matt Woods and I were talking, and I was like, in my brain, I was like, these floors are different.
Yeah.
Why are these floors different? They look so different. And Matt fully got me with this true story about how when we redid the flooring in Red Base, we had to redo it twice because the people
We did.
we did. We actually redid the flooring twice in Red Base. Just because of manufacturer problems. But I remember thinking it was never this dark, because I literally said to Matt, why didn't we keep this one? I like this flooring much better than what we have. Why? I don't remember seeing this. I feel like I would have given feedback saying, let's keep this flooring. So my brain was like, something is up with this flooring, but Matt totally convinced me with the story of no, remember 2 years ago we redid the
It's a good
flooring?
story.
Yeah.
But it sucks to me that none of that was on camera.
Well, actually, on camera, though, when we first walked into the room, you and I were like, has this room always been this way?
yeah. We were like, what room is this? Is this a break room that we never knew we had?
I feel like it totally looked because I was with Woods when he was setting up, and it felt like if Woods was to make a room that he thought Gigi would have had or something. It has a
Yeah, it
Nintendo
did.
Switch sitting there,
It
and then
did.
just
Yeah.
a couch, But it's
That's how
it's just all of
coffee
the
bar.
necessities.
Well, that's how it looked before I got in there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did it look exactly like that?
Yeah, besides the floor. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Oh,
that
okay.
was I think that's what
There was
threw
m-
it off so much. It's just, the floor just made it look completely different.
I guess I've never been in that room.
No, same.
So I walked in, I thought this is something totally that Woods would have designed, just a casual couch, oh, we got a TV, games.
There was
Switch.
more stuff in there too. There was more coffee
I believe it.
Yeah.
I felt it was like a little bit too barren. Like I was like, okay,
It felt
this
like a
feels
staging
Yeah,
home.
it feels like it. I can't say what it actually made me think it was. I'm gonna say more so that it felt like, yeah. Oh, you can't say it.
Cut it out. But...
Castle couch.
Yeah, I'll just
Yeah.
bleep all that out.
No, because I was thinking the same thing. So
Okay, yeah. So that gave me more of like a set
Oh,
vibe, I
Bailey.
would say. It gave me more of like a
Set
vibe that like
vibe.
this was not something comfortable, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those floors were like, first of all, if you guys ever need to like redo your flooring, those floorboards are like really cheap. They look really good.
They
Are those the
look
vinyl
yeah,
ones?
they were
good.
nice.
Really easy to put in.
They
what my dad
snap
said.
together so
I'm gonna
well.
I'm gonna be redoing something.
Well, it was really
Everyone's
interesting
floor.
because
This is how Woods gets into flooring.
This is how I get
It's
into
like,
my
you know
hobbies.
what? I discovered a new passion. I'm leaving the company.
That'd
I'm
be a
gonna
cool side
pursue.
business too. Just like you just redo people's floorings really
make
quickly and nice.
Yeah.
You know?
For
how
a
much was it for
large-
that one room?
Like altogether?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't.
You don't keep track of your
There were
receipts?
like each bundle was like $26, and there was like it could do like 2 layers of that whole room.
I think you could easily
Wow.
charge like
No,
Yeah.
not 2 layers. I'm sorry,
Oh.
two floorboard rows
I see.
Okay.
Okay.
across. Yeah.
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 I think you could easily charge like 5 times whatever the amount you pay in board to like just do it and put it in someone's house.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I could hide things under the floor too.
Oh,
In
yeah.
their
Okay.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
part
Write
of your
secret
marketing.
messages
Yeah.
underneath.
and that was a weird process too, because like we were like the whole layering of the floors
Uh-huh.
wasn't necessarily something that like well Matt wanted floorboards for the thumbnail and the title.
Yeah.
Not like, whoa, we found a body outline underneath the carpet. So originally, you know, we needed concrete or some sort of tiling for like the old lab.
Yeah.
And that just the process was difficult because we had the carpet. We didn't want to rip out the carpet. Inevitably ended up ripping out a portion of the carpet
Oh, you did?
so that
Oh.
I could put it back, which I don't think I'm going to be able to do. And it still looked great.
That's fine. We got
No.
carpet contacts. We'll
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like I cut out like maybe like a 4x8 square and put linoleum in there, and then just like dumped paint and made it look like concrete. And then we put the floorboards over. So that was a
That's
whole
a long process. How long
Yeah.
did that take you?
It took me like a week to
Yeah.
do
Were
for
you
all the
s-
layers of paint that needed to dry, and yeah.
Were you ever scared that like one of us for some reason was gonna go in upstairs red base?
I
No.
did.
Oh, you
But-
did?
But I like walked in, and in the common area, I saw like a paint tray and like a paint roller and like just miscellaneous supplies, and I like saw it, and I was like, I'm gonna leave because I
Smart.
have a feeling that this is a Woods thing.
Maybe I should have shut the door or something.
I didn't even. Yeah.
Yeah, I
didn't
walked
bother
upstairs. It's
looking,
just like
but-
wide open. I was like, "We're just going ham up here, man." I was like, "I hope the other two were told not to come up here because well,
Yeah.
there'd be no
I didn't
reason
even
to,
think
but-
about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't remember the last, like, it took me after Gigi redid their setup there. I didn't go up there for like a month. And then I walked up there to just visit, and I was like, whoa, you guys put a new wall up? Like,
Yeah.
I was like, how did any of this, like, I feel like Red Base just kind of has that energy where you don't come over here unless you, like, need to do a task or, like, do something.
Yeah, it's kind of lonely over here.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
especially now that we're keeping you guys out of the loop. But yeah, there was when I went up there to start the project, Gigi had all these snacks, and I'm
ate
like,
them all.
oh, sick. There's Rice Krispies, goldfish, coffee, and so I got hungry while doing my thing, and I go into their like snack box, and like all the wrappers are in there, but like there's no food. There's no goldfish, just the wrappers are still in the box. And then I see like little droppings, and I'm like, oh no. No, it was a mouse.
Oh, okay. I mean, well, a
mice.
mouse is still cute, but
Wait,
Wait, how did
did
you
you find
know?
it?
No, I told Kevin, and he I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened then. He cleaned
been
up
gone
he
for
cleaned
a
up the
few
food and the
weeks.
wrappers and stuff. But yeah,
Well, the
That's-
mouse.
we
still
have
on
a
the
mouse
loose.
in Red Base.
That's how long
Wow,
it's
They
been.
actually opened the package and everything. I didn't know mice were
yeah,
capable
there's like
of
little
that.
holes, and then all of it, they went like
They had a feast.
They had
I'm
a
sure,
feast.
on
eh,
expired chocolate.
I'm
And
That's
so
kinda
worried about my
nice.
feet. I gotta start wearing closed-toe
Your
shoes
feet?
now. Yeah, like right now I have no clue what's near my feet.
mouse.
Do you have
Mouse,
a fear
dude,
of
yeah.
mice?
My feet are just as good as Rice Krispie treats.
What do you think they're
probably.
gonna do?
They're not gonna bite your feet, dude. I mean, there's so much expired food in Red Base that like they have so
Oh,
many
yeah,
other
true.
areas they would rather go to than your feet.
Yeah, it's a big area.
Mice
Yeah.
are cute. Rats, on the other hand, rats are a
Rat,
problem.
yeah,
but
rats
mice
I'd
are fine.
be a little frightened of, but they were just little mice poop.
Mice poop.
Well, my poop.
But
But that's how
the-
long it's been.
Yeah, the set itself was really cool. You did a great job.
Yeah.
Like pulling that back. I think when my brain went to, oh, we're gonna end up ripping up these floorboards, I like it was another shoot where I felt a lot of genuine excitement and like. All right, let's see what's under it. I mean, I love Chanel for sprinkling in a little Edgar Allan Poe.
That was
That was
Mike.
fun. Yeah, that
Oh,
was
that
a
was
cool-
Mike?
That was Mike,
Oh,
Mike.
Fun.
interesting.
I'm
Yeah, that was
so
fun.
mad at myself for not recognizing that because I so vividly remember reading that story in like freshman year English class
Mm-hmm.
and thinking like just this is such a scary like eerie story.
Yeah.
Like it really like stuck with me, and so the fact that I didn't connect it in hindsight, I'm like, Samantha, come on.
It was a really cool clue, though. Like to
Yeah.
connect it to outside knowledge, I thought was really interesting because usually it's all within the story. I
Yeah.
feel like so for something that's like actual real world. Work,
We were having
it was
trouble with
interesting.
that. Too.
Really?
We were having trouble coming up with like how do we lead or how do we like hint to go under the floorboards?
That's a good point too that I haven't thought about. Is I wonder if that might be like a possible like place for improvement. Is that things are always so in the story. I wonder if
Well,
the story would feel
Interesting.
more real is if more things were outside of just this office.
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
I
it was
definitely think
referenced
so.
to like the world.
Yeah, like Edgar Allan Poe. It's like, oh, like that's a person that's real. That was
There
real.
was a point where we did the Julius Caesar
Yeah.
reference.
I was trying to remember what that was for. It was the
It was like
What
a
was
code
Caesar?
or a password for something.
yeah, it was a very quick
It was
code.
like Et tu Brutus or something.
Well, no, it was I honestly don't even remember because it was such a like minor detail. But it was some clue like around Julius Caesar.
Interesting. Yeah, because someone brought it up. Like, I mean, unless it was planted, I don't think it was, but I think
No,
a fan like was like, "Oh, this is from."
No, yeah, I think
Edgar
that was the
Allan
top
Poe.
comment, wasn't it?
No, it was
by a
down there
certain
in
point.
somewhere. I don't. I mean,
It took a second.
Chanel could
Yeah.
have been on the other line with a just a ghost account, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that
that
was
would be a
cool.
good idea to like.
How fast did that all happen? Like, so how fast did you guys go
Well-
from the?
So I'm so sorry. I didn't even let you finish the question.
No, you know exactly where I was going. How fast did that all happen from the clue to?
Like resolving it and
Yeah,
like ripping up the
essentially.
floorboards.
Yeah.
So it actually took a while because we looked at the room and found the like, do you fancy me mad? And then the plan was to go back into Megadesk, post it in the YouTube community, look through some Reddit, and then see what they say. I feel like we looked through Reddit for about like 20 to 30 minutes before
Yeah.
realizing we forgot to post it to YouTube
Oh,
community.
was it that long?
Just looking at
wow.
art.
Yeah,
for a
we were
while.
getting into it. Yeah.
Looking at
20 to 30 minutes with like us getting set up in
True,
Megadesk
true.
and getting all the camera stuff together and then starting to
Oh,
review
yeah, true,
Reddit.
true.
Like we just got sucked into some really cool fan art. And then like Matt was like, oh, wait, we didn't post it. So there was just like a little chunk of like not wasted time, but time that the audience could have maybe come to the conclusion
that-
faster.
Yeah, something needed to.
And then I feel like we were only like on Reddit for 15 to 20 more minutes before we went back. And a lot of people had the theory of like, oh, fancy. It's like a British word. So
Right, which is
it's
what
like,
we
do you
thought at
like me
first.
mad and stuff. And maybe it's like, some weird like in story thing. But I really like the idea of bringing in more outside references as clues. Because if
Yeah.
you think about it, like, the people of Syntech and Deb and Nelson and all these people lived in this world.
Yeah.
It was at a different time, so they're not going to be referencing like Doja Cat, but like they lived in this world with references like Edgar Allan Poe and everything. So I think it would be fun when moments like this arise to bring in more
Yeah, I think
outside clues.
I think it gives it more of that like it takes a fictional like a fictional story, but it grounds it in reality in a way that like it normally isn't, and so it kind of gives it more of like that, like, oh, this puzzle feels real.
Yeah.
Which is what I feel like earlier, like, and I hate comparing just to the beginning nonstop, but I feel like earlier it's like, oh, it was so grounded in reality because we use like this car is actually something you could see on the road. It's like it's actually doing these things, like kind of uncovering a bunch of real things. And like people were like, it got so real that they started going and hitting up all these other people, you know what I'm saying? Like that weren't a part of it, you know? And so I think like bringing those things in without overkilling it, you know, because naturally we want to keep it fictional, but like keep bringing those things in, I think helps the illusion a bit, you know?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that at first. Like when Mike first said the clue, I was like, I was just sitting there like, this
But
doesn't feel like
there's-
what we've been doing, but I think that's why it kind of works.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I think that like we have a story, right? And we're like living out this story and it has its natural arc, and you're gonna have other stories elsewhere, other fiction elsewhere that like kind of have either the same arc or have references that we could use. I think that like that's probably like you said, not to overdo it, but that would probably be like a good not transition, but definitely like a bag to pull from, like if we ever need to, even if it is a bigger part of the story, because I think that those like I don't have an example on hand, so I'm having difficulty trying to articulate this, but like take our story and take a really well known story, kind of like it, and if we were to like cross reference at certain points in the story, it would make a lot of sense. But also you would have to be careful about, you know, giving away that story by using another story. If that makes
True.
sense.
Yeah. So question, did you guys come up with the floorboards first or the Edgar Allan Poe reference first?
Floorboards.
Floorboards.
And then you wanted to find a clue that would lead to
Floorboards.
open up the floorboard.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I would assume that was probably something that came out of like the marketing meeting, was like finding something under the floor,
Yeah,
and then it's
right.
like, how do we tie
it
in
in.
something there? So I wanna ask about like a theory thing, but I don't want to look at woods.
No, don't
No,
do
I
it.
shouldn't?
No, because one of us,
Okay.
not even
One
just
of us
woods,
will-
I
okay,
could
never
possibly
mind.
slip on it too
Well,
if it's
I
something
just
that
feel
do.
like some theories that we've talked about, like I feel like there's now like a clear direction for like the ghost in the writing, but I'm very curious to see if there's any sort of like misdirect coming down the line.
Yeah,
of,
well,
like,
right now-
oh, right, because right now it feels like pretty obvious.
There's a dead
but
person that's talking to us. Yeah,
but
that's what it feels like.
I'm interested to see like where that goes
Yeah,
and
that
everything.
I have a
go.
question for Sam and Woods, because something about this episode that made me feel, I don't know, it made me feel a little off, and I was like, am I underreacting to this, or is this how I would actually react in this situation? Is that like, because there's been so many crazy things happening in the last couple episodes, just in terms of like writing on the wall and like the ghost at the gravesite and like our ghost, what we assumed was a ghost. I felt like I was underreacting a little bit because it felt just, and also with like, you know, Deb's murder, or not Deb's murder, sorry, Wes's murder. It's like, oh, we have to figure out another murder now. Like, so I felt like I was almost like not freaked out enough, almost, because I was just like, oh, here's another thing that's just crazy, like all the other things that have been happening. Did you guys feel that way at all? Like, did you feel like you were like really, I don't know, like when you're reacting to it, do you feel like you're like, whoa, this is crazy every time, or like are you starting to get used to all of the craziness that's
I
happening?
think the best way to play it, and this is just like personally, because we've already in the past committed to the idea of like being a part of Project 863 and like saying yes to this whole adventure. Obviously, there was still room for very human reactions in a lot of the serum chases and stuff like that. But there was this new kind of underlying, like, well, I signed up for this, so
Right.
I'm here.
Yeah.
And so with the writing on the walls and everything, I think a scared, like, how is this happening reaction worked for when we saw the letters appearing on the wall, because that was our first reaction of how is this happening. But I feel something like this is almost implied at this point that like, yeah,
True.
we've all kind of thought that people were killed here or died here. And because a lot of us had like the ghost theories already, I feel like in that episode, it made sense to take more of the reactionary stance of Oh, all right. Well, this is a part of our
Okay.
job now. I feel like it almost would have been more out of place if one of us were like, oh my God, like someone was killed here.
Okay.
Like, what do we do? Like,
Yeah.
because it would have been like, are you new here?
Yeah,
like,
right.
What?
It feels like I felt like I was being insensitive, but then at
Sure.
the same time I was like, this is
It's like, no,
happening
this
so
is what we
often.
do. Like,
It's almost a norm.
yeah, I almost
Yeah.
think of it. I almost think of it as like, and like obviously like our content isn't this, but like when you look at characters on like NCIS, they're not like someone was killed, someone died.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh no, they're still trying to solve it and everything, but
Yeah, I think the whole point is that your guys' reactions aren't supposed to be thought about. Like you're not
Right.
supposed to think about it at all. You can't. You shouldn't. I don't want to say you shouldn't, but I don't think. I just think it's natural. Like the intention is that. That it's like, did I undersell? Did I over? It's like
Right.
no. It's like whatever you did is what you were supposed to do because
Yeah.
that's the entire point. Is that you shouldn't go into it thinking I need to do anything. You
True,
know?
yeah.
Just like whatever is being thrown at you, just have a normal reaction because that's how we are kind of like playing everything along in our heads. You know.
yeah.
From the other side. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
That
And
makes
also
me
if you
feel
think about it, like playing the normal reaction, like can also like that one shoot that like didn't go as planned, playing a normal reaction just like how it's happening in the moment can also allude to like, is this idea clear and working? So like I feel
true.
like that's always like the best route. What do you think?
I agree. I mean, it was kind of difficult for me to react because I was on camera, and I was trying to like make sure I got
true.
the shots and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But no, like I agree. Like if you've seen it before, then you know you're not going to be as surprised because that shock is initially already there. But yeah, like something like this, like we've already found like 3 hidey places, you know, and
Yeah,
so like
right.
the fact that we're gonna find more things covered up, more like the secrets trying to be kept, is normal, especially for like Syntech, you know.
True.
But like, the matter of like things coming through the wall and making like actual letters, that's impossible, right? So like naturally we're gonna be like,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, put
Yeah.
a body on
What?
the floor. You know.
Old news. You know
But
what I
when
mean?
we do find a
Typical.
body, which is not something that
I don't
is
know
in the
that.
story.
Yeah, I don't know
That's-
that we would ever. I don't know that we would ever
that
be
would
able
be
to do that.
something that's like, oh shoot,
Yeah.
I've never seen a dead body
I've
before.
never-
Well, I thought
I
that's
have
what was
seen a
going to
dead body
happen.
It's a good thing we can go to deadbodies.com and grab a couple. You know?
No, I
No.
genuinely thought that like when it said like body parts in the poem, I was like, are we about to find body
Yeah,
parts?
because he cuts up the old man and hides
Yeah.
his body parts under the floorboard. That's why I was like,
Yeah, what's
Does that make it easier to put him under a floorboard?
yeah,
Depends
smaller
how big
pieces
you're-
to like
yeah.
fit. It depends on like how wide the floorboards are, where the beams are, and everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't like.
Good to know.
I don't know.
Degrades easier.
What'd you say?
Degrades, it decays easier.
I like, you said degrades. I was like,
Same thing.
it's
That
like
works.
it's like nagging you. It's like it's
No, not
degrading
emotional
you.
degrading. There's also
I know.
physical degrading.
Oh, interesting.
Well, yeah,
I've
I would
only
hope it
heard-
would weigh on your conscience. Yeah.
I've only heard the word degrades as in like degrading, like when you're like degrading someone.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Could
that's
be
so
used
funny.
both ways.
Huh? You learn something new every day, folks.
Hey, I'm here for it.
Just to put a cap on that, I just wanted to say, like, in our position, I feel like after the episode is filmed, I just kind of reflect a little bit and I'm like, did I react appropriately to that? You know, like, I know it's supposed to be natural,
I
but
have
like,
that thought process
yeah.
too. I'm always like, is that like
Did
what
I
they
play that
wanted?
right?
or-
Yeah, right, exactly. But
The answer is always yes. You know,
thanks, Tanner.
it's a good
No,
way to put
it's
it.
a
For
fair-
you two, the answer is always yes.
Woods just over here shaking his head no.
On that interesting note, I know you guys want to talk about theories, but I think something that we can talk about that is along similar lines is more so if we reflect back on, I would say, the first few seasons. I kind of wanted to do with the remaining, 30 minutes we have left or so, is talk about like what if, but with Project 863. So like a lot of people have seen the what if Marvel stuff. Like, what is like a what if that you find that would be super interesting for Project 863. Like,
That's
what
fun.
if this happened? Like, where would it take it? Like, why does it interest you? It could be just a character. Like, what if this character did this? Or what if like Syntech was like you could see like Syntech was an actual building that we used or something, or like what if like this character was doing, was still alive, or I don't know, something like that,
Yeah, I think a very interesting one, like, and I don't know how this would have played. I don't know what the domino effect of this would have been, but like, what if John Doe like actually approached us in person from the get-go and was like, I'm gonna help you, like, here's all of my information, like I've been solving, like there's this murder case with the Mountaineer. Obviously I think a lot of stuff would have happened really quickly,
Yeah.
but sometimes I think because I think on a larger scale, if we had the resources and the production to hire more like in-person characters and actors, I think we would have numerous points throughout the series.
Yeah.
Like I would have imagined, like, I think with John Doe, it's very interesting because we've developed the storyline of like, he doesn't want his identity to be revealed because like there's a lot going on. He might be ostracized from his position, but correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like the actual reason early on for not showing him was because we couldn't hire an actor to do it. So it was always either just like someone at the studio and we just pointed the camera at their feet. So sometimes I think about like, oh, what if we actually hired an actor to play John Doe? How would that change that relationship?
Yeah,
Like,
how much more realistic would it have
that
been?
be
Yeah.
like, would there be more of a relationship there? Like, could he have been more of an ally?
That's
like
an
more of like
interesting
a partner
point.
going forward? And then what would have happened during the realization of like Deb murdered Wes? Like, would he have like trusted that? I mean, I know he did trust it in the end, but like how could his reaction have changed if he
Yeah.
was like
That's a point
with
that
us a little bit
I hadn't
more?
even thought about either. And I think that what you bringing it up is like we have so much like limitations in terms of naturally what we can do with adding more characters and adding more people, especially characters that clearly aren't like working at the studio, So like someone like John Doe and all these, like every character in the story that's not working at the studio is legitimately is just like a masked figure,
Pretty much, yeah.
like is to some extent. And so I think that's an interesting point too. Like when you're watching it's like there's no real relationship. There's no real connection to anybody. Like, cause there's no human characteristics to a lot of them, like I said, it's like you don't get to interact, you don't get to know their faces. It's like, to me, it's like the old Timmy Turner thing, where it's like, you don't like Timmy has
You
parents.
say that, but
gonna say,
you
what's
say that,
the
but
thing
he had his parents show up.
You
and then
see
you're
his
They show up
parents.
later.
You're
They
thinking
weren't
of
in the beginning.
Dexter. You're thinking
No,
of
early
Dexter.
episodes, Tanner's right. Early episodes.
They were not around for the
What?
first multiple seasons, by the way.
It's like it's
factually.
like legs.
It was
It's like
just legs
shows the
that are
bottom of
super
their
high up.
shirt or something. Yeah.
And so that's one of those things is you would have like for those first few, I like, oh, whatever, just like parents. Like,
Parents.
there's no connection in your mind to like what they are except for a role, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And so if it's just a role, you don't connect to a role. You connect to everything else that you see, like the things you can.
Yeah.
Right, you can't
Interchangeable.
you can't be like, okay, that guy looks trustworthy, or you know what, that guy looks super
true.
sketchy.
There's no
'cause
body language. Like
he's got
70% of
well,
communications body
also
language.
like how do you keep yourself? Like how do you like your body language? How do you hold yourself? But like, are you groomed? Are you wearing like a Raiders hat? Are you like
Yeah.
what is the
so
personality?
much data's cut out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is interesting though, because I totally agree with all of that, but so many of the fans really connected with Deb. And were so sad for her when like the tragedy of her story came out that like she accidentally killed Wes.
Well-
And a lot of people actually chose to trust Deb over Matt in that scenario. And they were like, Matt's acting way too rash. Like, I think Deb's telling the truth. And we do have more of a physical, like,
And a lot
thing
more
of Deb.
dialogue too.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But something that I think is really interesting too is like something that we were talking about last week. This is a strange connection, but like the audience really tends to connect to people who they don't really know. Like even just like people working at the studio, people that have showed up on camera like 1 or 2 times.
Do you think they actually really connect to them though?
I don't know if they really
Or
do,
do
but I
you think
think
they're just empathizing for them, like we said last
Or
week?
making up their own.
I think
reality.
Yeah,
they,
I think
they
that's
make
what
up
it
their
is.
own
Yeah.
character
And
with people they don't know.
Right. So it's like they know so much about Matt. And then, like, I think that all of the characters that they're making up, like, this idea of in their head, they're coming up with this idealized version of that character because we don't know anything about them.
So that is helping in some ways, like with the animated like clips all combined
Yeah.
that they did. Like every single one of them drew Wes's blonde. Like I don't know if you guys
Yeah,
remember.
which is
So
really
there's,
was
like,
interesting.
a very interesting connection that everyone's making for some reason. So I do find that stuff to be interesting as well. But I do
like
think at the
Wes-
same point,
Wes is a blonde guy name, I feel like.
kind of it's
Wesley.
like
Yeah.
Wesley. Yeah.
I
thought
could
it was
also see
brunette
him
for some
ginger,
reason.
but I always
Oh.
had him brunette in my brain.
Sorry.
Like I just always did.
I
Me
honestly
too.
have never really thought of him as like an actual like physical being in my
It's just
brain.
because I knew a kid named Wes who was blonde.
But
Yeah.
I think it's also I think that also plays into it as a part as well. As I agree because like with Deb, even with Deb, like if you got an actual like face, I think it would, naturally the connection would be even more. But you do get some sort of physical like with the tapes that are put together. You know what I'm saying? Like you get to see a physical body kind of moving, you know, and you get dialogue, and you're getting so there is like some sort of relationship. I still think it could be a stronger connection, but compared to like John Doe, where everything
Emails.
is just chats and emails, it's like and then legs. It's like I have no clue. Like this person
this
me.
guy?
That's why whenever people bring him up, I'm like, why? Like in my head, I'm like, who cares?
Yeah.
You know, but I know he plays a part in the story. But it's like now if he was a face and like I got to see like how he's like reacting, communicating, like talking about things, leaving voicemails, like something I
Yeah.
can grasp to. Then I'd be like, oh, like this has this emotional play in
Even-
me. You know.
In the episode where we do a drop and we meet John Doe in that like parking structure,
Mm-hmm.
him coming down the stairs and like getting the briefcase, I think is a lot of data already in terms of like, okay, he's doing something like, even though and this is like a subconscious data, I think that like really
Like, oh, he's
affects
real.
us.
I think is one.
He's real. He's doing something sketchy that he's not supposed to be doing, but he's doing it to help them. I think are all factors in like that's who he is. He's this like maybe what do you call it? Crusader type person who's like
vigilante.
you know, and there's a heavy personality type towards like what a vigilante is and just like the social aspect of entertainment, I suppose.
Yeah.
Which I think feeds into it as well. But I agree with, I don't know who said it, just the names. Like, I feel like Deb is a name that you can like relate to in a lot of ways for some reason. Maybe because it's like
A mom
a
name.
softer, yeah, it's a
I think it's
softer
'cause it's
name.
shortened too. I think it's shortened for Deb. So when you hear Deb, I think you just hear like a. It's like calling like somebody like a friend. It's like me calling like Woodland Woods or something. It's like okay, like there. It feels like there's some connection there already. You know.
If you imagine if we were to name her Vicky,
Ugh.
like
Gross.
I just don't think
Sorry,
that a
Vicky.
lot of the
Vicky.
fans would. Yeah, right. Like I don't think a lot of.
Sorry to Vicky's out there.
What's the song?
Vicky, you're so icky.
Yeah.
You make me feel sicky when. Yeah.
Totally not.
It's a Timmy Turner song.
Not kidding. You missed it though.
What is it?
Icky Vicky, you're so sicky.
Just the thought of being random makes me so
Maybe I sing it
sicky.
wrong too. Actually, I'm a fake fan.
It's kind of there. But that's the point. Like,
Yeah.
is that like even
Names have power.
every single names, like very short scenes, everything adds to the idea of that person.
Definitely. Yeah. And when you have so little to go off of, I think you just like
Have to.
have this idea. Yeah.
But
But
let's
it's
test how really quick. I want to test this name because I want to see how true that is with if it's just with our like us or if it's like in general, right? Like when you think of hold on, this will be interesting. When you
Okay.
think of Ben, what do you think of like personality wise?
The name Ben or B27?
The name Ben,
well,
just the name Ben.
introverted.
Okay,
'Cause your
like
brother.
what else?
Because
Like,
it's my
like,
brother.
but
I'm
how does
thinking
he
of my
look?
brother. How does he look?
What does the name Ben in your head look
He's like 5'4" and Asian.
like? Not your brother, but how does the
well,
name Ben look in your head?
for an Asian, is that what you said?
Because that's what I was
Yeah,
gonna say. Is
that's-
I know she has a brother named Ben, but the way her brother looks in my head is not the way. Like the way Ben looks in my head is not that way.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the exact
True.
opposite.
Yeah.
Ben looks to me like a 6'2" blonde kid that's like
Yeah.
like Caucasian and is also I would say
See,
introverted.
Ben's a mischievous kid in my eyes.
Oh,
Really?
interesting.
So see, that's my whole thing. Is
Yeah.
like I think we all just have like Vicky, yeah, because we all watched like Timmy Turner, where
Turner.
Vicky is like the antagonist, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I don't know what we've seen that Wes makes us all think that it's that.
I think Surfer, straight
Yeah,
like.
and
Honestly, it's interesting. Wait, isn't the guy in Princess Bride named Wes?
I'm not sure.
Because I was gonna say, I
the
kind
blonde
of
in the
picture him that
Princess
way,
Bride.
yeah.
Like I picture him as just like a kind, like Renaissance era.
I do think the media maybe nests things in our heads for that because there are
Yeah.
some names that you'll get completely different responses to.
For sure.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like maybe that helps in some of our cases, but also maybe that's like nullified
Yeah.
for
Right.
other things, you know?
Well, I
Well-
mean, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Like Cyphus,
Nelson
bro.
Yeah,
Cyphus,
ew.
like
that's a
a
mean name,
scientist
dog.
Evil
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
Cyphus is a powerful name.
Cyphus.
That is a powerful
I just
name.
find it so interesting because there's so many people on Spellbound who are like Ben Simps or like Nelson Simps or whatever, and it's like
What a zoomer
it's
way
like,
to
you
attack.
don't even
Who?
know.
You
like-
don't even know. Like, name me. Like, okay, you're a simp. Tell me 5 things about this person.
She's gatekeeping.
No, I'm.
Ben.
I'm
They're saying
going
Ben
to.
is a simp?
No,
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 they're
they're
simping for him.
simping
Ben.
for
Oh.
the character
Yeah.
Ben and Cyphus.
Like they draw
Oh.
like baby B27 and stuff, and I'm like,
Dog, this is how like people get married to serial killers.
it totally is 100%.
I
But
think
yeah,
it's how that's what I always find interesting is when people make like permanent decisions before things are ended. Like, oh, I'm going to name my baby after that character, and then all of a sudden he becomes like a murderer by the end of the season or the end of the show. And you're like, all right, you need to,
all right. Whoa,
like,
whoa, guys.
you need to let that play out.
yeah,
You know?
true.
I have another what if prompt that I'm just curious to
No, send it.
hear.
Yeah, send it.
What if Matt died? Like after the trap episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like what if Matt actually like deteriorated, maybe when Yvonne like died.
It would
Like,
be
when
He
actually
might be.
died?
And then yes.
wait.
No, not in real
No,
life,
that-
in the
no.
story.
Yes.
No, not in
Like, what if we killed that dude?
No, I mean, obviously he would still be like, if anything, part of me is like, well, it'd give him more time to be writer, director, CEO.
Yeah.
But I'm also just like, because then it would turn into more of an ensemble, like revenge story. Kind of like, look at this raggedy bunch of kids whose leader was slain. Like, and
I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of fine.
gonna
and
say
like
that sounds
and like
kinda
now
good.
we have to like it like takes it up a notch, like maybe a little bit more earlier season 2 esque style content, but like I'm always just like, I want, like, what if Matt died? Like what if like Matt's character
Yeah.
Clickbaiting
like,
death is
Be a-
sick, by the way.
Guys.
I mean,
There'd be a huge character development within us over
Yeah.
the arc, and also like it'd be kind of cool if like Matt's like spirit was helping us.
oh, that's sweet.
like the Jedi ghost.
Yeah, dude.
And then,
gosh, you
and
would
then
love
Matt
that.
could honestly just be the cameraman.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
That
saying? The voice is cameraman. He's like, he's
Let's
just like
pitch it.
diving, like, shh.
I just really feel like Matt's spirit is with us right
Thank
now
you,
in this
Matt.
room.
Oh my gosh.
No,
But yeah, it's just like on the theory end is like, how would that like change us as characters? I was
Yeah.
gonna say as people, but you know what I mean, like as characters. I think we'd all toughen up a little bit, like take this really seriously,
gives
and like
really strong
maybe
motivation.
all take Taekwondo lessons and like
I think it would
fight
be.
some people.
I think it'd be sick.
Yeah.
I think it would give a super Game of Thrones vibe to the show, which is like no one's safe out of nowhere. You know, because
Yeah.
right now there are like everyone kind of feels safe.
Yeah.
And I think the only time
No
people
risk.
don't feel safe is when things happen in the real world that we have to write into the story. You know, like
True.
for instance, if for some reason we would ever like lose like some of the bases or something, you know what I'm saying? Like then we'd like, oh, we'd write that in, or like when someone leaves, like when Kevin leaves to go do his own stuff, like we write that in, maybe we write that into the story somehow, you know? Like I think there's like a lot of like, oh, we can now do this because it happens, but to like do something like kind of the opposite where it's like not affecting the real world, but we write it super hard. It's like, oh, anyone can go, you know,
Yeah.
it kind of gives weight to it, you know? And then Matt
Totally.
doesn't post
Absolutely.
on social media at all. So like,
So he's
some
dead.
people might actually think he died.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he wants that. I'm
No,
just saying
I
it would
don't
be
think he
so
does.
captivating. You know?
Well, something that we talked about, a theory that Sam and I talked about last week was if
Woods, look away.
Matt is
Close your eyes.
actually
Yeah, close your eyes
Like-
and ears.
Shut your mouth.
Why?
Because we
You
don't,
can't give
we don't want them
anything
to
away.
talk about theories, because if we have any sort of reaction to a theory that could be in any way right, that in any way that we would know, Matt would like probably brutally murder us. So that's where it's difficult, because I've already given some stuff away. You're working on things, you know what I'm saying? Do we
Okay.
want to?
yeah, just stay. Yeah.
So yeah, dark Matt.
So yeah,
Using a
yeah.
straight
If like
face.
if Matt was turning evil,
Mm-hmm.
and then that would leave the three of us to like fend
Save
for
him.
ourselves and like save him. Yeah, and I feel like that would give some really strong motivation for our characters too. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
like, I
whether
think
he dies or just goes dark, I feel like it'd be interesting.
both of them, yeah, are really, or he goes dark and then dies.
Ooh, and
Goes
we
dark and then
couldn't
dies.
save him.
Yeah.
and so like now it's like a whole other layer to the like vengeance story.
Yeah, and I think
Interesting.
ensemble casts are really cool.
Yeah,
I mean, but even
What do you mean
even,
ensemble casts?
like just in terms of like Game of Thrones type stuff, where it's like,
Oh.
like you know,
You follow
we're covering
storylines.
like different storylines, and like there's no real main character. But I guess I wouldn't say that Matt is like, well,
Matt
some
is
would
the main
argue,
character.
Matt is
yeah.
without a doubt
Named
the
after
character.
him.
Yeah.
No,
okay.
no, he's and then Bailey and I were actually talking about a post we saw on Spellbound the other day that was just suggesting that like well, like when they're doing the recaps, like why don't we hear like Woods narrate one or like Sam narrate one? And even though that's a fun idea, they had posed this question of like, whose channel are we watching? Because like I know it's titled Matthias, but like let's hear these other perspectives, and it feels like he's a biased like character. But the true answer to that is he is the main character. Like it is the Matthias channel. Like it is like
his
Matt's studio,
perspective.
and like it's not, and that's not like weird or anything. He's the main character.
Also, it's like that's the point of someone who's narrating in the first place is you don't bring in a biased character that wouldn't make sense. You bring in the proper biased character, right? So for like Lord of the Rings, right? The Galadriel. I don't even know how much you guys know about Lord of the Rings.
The what?
But there's
Why don't you
pretty
do
much, like, one of
Avatar: The Last
oldest
Airbender?
elves there, right, is the one narrating it, and she's nowhere near the main character of the story, right? You don't have to be the main character, but it has to make sense, right? But the only reason she's it is because she's the only one that really made sense. She's there through all of it. She's there from the beginning. She's like the most wise of all of them, you know? So it kind of makes sense that this person that's retelling history was there and has the most wisdom on it and understands it. And it's like Matt is that role, you know,
Yeah,
like
he's the leader.
He's the leader, and and the one with like
But I could see it the other way as well, like Avatar: The Last Airbender. You ever hear one of those recaps and Aang is
Katara does it.
yeah, Katara does it, but if they're like it's a Fire Nation one, there's been like or not a Fire Nation one, but there's been like on the recaps, not the intro to it. But there's been last time on, or maybe actually the more I describe it, I think I'm thinking of something else.
It kind of does change, like, but it's when people are telling their own stories. Like
That's what
Hiro
I'm-
will do his own
yeah.
story. Like, yeah,
I've seen that done really well, but with like true ensemble shows
Like
where
Hero.
each episode follows that person's story. Like Only
Yes.
Murders in the Building is a great show on Hulu that I highly recommend. It's like Steve Martin, Martin Short, Selena Gomez. It's
Oh,
fantastic
yes,
storytelling.
I've been
seen
seeing
some.
that one, yeah.
Fantastic. But every episode they have a different narrator, and every episode it's narrated by someone different who's a part of the story. It still
Right.
shows like the three main characters in it, but it's all through the perspective or the lens of like whoever's narrating it. That's a really cool story format, but like very specific, and I don't know would
Yeah.
work for
I was
our
gonna
content.
say I don't know if it would work for our content because I think that we're all going through a very similar thing where like I don't know if the different perspectives matter that
I
or
just
would
think
like
the-
add to the story.
Yeah.
I just don't
Right.
think the different perspectives would make sense to the brain of it. Not that they wouldn't even be good. Like, I think they would be good, but like to give an example, I think Woods's would be exactly like the last Behind 863 episode that went live, where it would be funny as all heck, and he would kind of just be like talking from memory. Like that would be Woods, and it would be hilarious. But it's like that's not what this channel is. You know, this channel is about like
I could
super.
do a serious voiceover.
Yeah, but that's the thing is it's not you. That's not your character. Your character is not the one like giving a serious like voiceover. Like then it'd be like, why is Woods doing this and not Matt? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can
Last
see that.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
people would be
Project
like, this isn't
863.
Woods.
I would be like, why is Woods doing this right now? You know?
Yeah.
It really is just
Well,
like,
especially
who
the way
fits?
Matt does it is like it's like deep and serious.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree.
Cinematic.
And that's just kind of the role he plays in the
I'd
story.
be like,
yeah.
what is it? What's it doing? Yeah.
But I would love to hear, and I don't know if this would make sense for those, but I think the better version is like, give me the Woods version of Woods talking about his story. Totally probably interesting, even though it doesn't match the brand. I think that's like,
Y'all, what's up? Last week on 863, things got a little crazy.
dude, I love it.
so funny. That'd be amazing.
We found a body outline under floorboards that I guess were there all forever. Yeah.
Yeah, just like this, my man. I would
Fancy
watch
Me
this.
Mad popped up, but before the floorboard part. Yeah. Anyways, welcome. We're going to get into it. And that's it.
That's great. Woo.
You just
Can I
take
say-
that sample and lay it over
That
the
was
next.
unironically so fun to like listen to. It's just like that is Woods being Woods. I don't
Yeah.
know why that's so fun for me to listen to. That's why I love
Because you're my friend, Tim.
Because you like him.
Yeah, but I guess I'm the vocal minority in terms of like, yeah, either way. I thought that was satisfying. Anyways, any other what ifs?
What if we cussed?
We'd be funnier.
I think situations
I'm
would be
kidding.
like,
This is actually, yeah, it's a fair thing to talk about.
I don't think it's like, I don't think it's needed, but I definitely do think like specific situations
Would be
like, oh, like all three of them are like screaming like, what the F, or
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
are screaming, oh my F, you know, like,
There's been some scenarios.
this is serious. I only hear my parents
Yeah.
cuss when it's serious, so they must be serious.
There have been some scenarios where I've just wanted one good like
Yeah.
like
I mean,
in like the moment of like like B-27 coming around the corner when you guys are still in the trailer and like
Yeah,
Sam's in the building, like I kind of wanted to hear a Woods like
There have been moments where I have, and it's been bleeped.
or
Yeah.
he's like
Or you
had to
like
cut
whisper
out
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's
try
kind
and,
of,
like,
But that's true though. Like that's like,
like-
oh, that's real. You know, like oh, this is going off the rails. You know, like
Yeah.
this is not what they normally do.
Yeah.
That means it's
Yeah.
got to be intense. Like I think you're totally right.
There are some moments though where I feel like it would almost make it like comedic when we don't want it to be comedic. Like because
Like,
there,
what
there's
the?
like there's some times where cussing can definitely heighten a moment in my opinion, and but I also feel like there are other times where it like can feel out of place to the point where it's almost like like a comedic skit or
Yeah,
something.
right.
It just
Well-
sounds like a bunch of people who just learned how to cuss.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's funny because, like, you know, especially coming from like the natural reaction perspective in the real world, I cuss a pretty good amount. Like, that's like definitely part of my vocabulary, and so like it kind
Not
of
my illusion breaking. Daily.
it feels really strange sometimes to like see something crazy and be like, oh my gosh, like I would never.
You can say
that.
God.
I know, but I still feel weird about it. I don't, oh my gosh. What?
Oh
my-
me, oh my!
Oh, go!
Literally the exact
We
same as
have
like
to-
cursing in the wrong way as like not cursing in the wrong way.
Yeah, I feel like it would definitely make the reactions a lot more realistic. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's not necessary for scripts, but I do feel like it does increase
Sometimes it
realism a
could
little
just,
bit.
Yeah, bring in a little bit more of like our real world.
Yeah, right.
Because it is funny to like then watch the bloopers that are like beep, 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 like every 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
We should have a cuss reel for.
It's
For
basically
Spellbound.
the bloopers. It's the bloopers.
Yeah. Yeah, the bloopers do have them and they are good. They're funny. And no one's complained, so
There you go.
I vibe with it. My thought is like, what if we like in the very beginning just didn't let go of like actually chased more of the keys. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
Like whereas we kind of just chased that one. Like we found
The
one that was
863.
weird and we just chased it forever, you know? Instead of like, what if we have like, okay, what are the other billion of these keys that were stuck in a wall for no reason doing that, you know?
Like if we didn't do the 155 key. Because if you really think about it, the 155 key led us to the Mountaineer, which led us to Syntech.
Yes. It's not even that if we just didn't do it. What if we like did it and then we were like, oh, like, okay, like this is like for instance, maybe when we like lost the Mountaineer, like, all right, well, that was weird. Like no point in chasing it. We have literally hundreds more things that we can go
Interesting.
solve.
Those are just different plot lines.
Are they?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd
Well,
be
I mean,
interesting.
I don't.
So like
cool.
Syntech, and then you have this key, and
But
that's
why
like
didn't we do that?
Bigfoot.
I
and then
think
this
Or like why?
because that would be sick. Because like you could totally have you can get clues to where each key is. Doesn't have to be at the studio because we kind of burned it with Syntech.
even better. What
But
if?
like, what?
Sorry, my what if's gonna work with your what if.
All
If
right.
they were, what if every person like got a key
Oh, that'd be.
and they
I
started
love
their own
that.
channels, and then
Oh,
their
that's
own
cool.
channels are taking that key and going through like a plot line.
Oh, fascinating.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
really cool.
Wouldn't that be crazy?
Or like a different season, like every key is a different season, and like it follows a different plot.
It's always been the keys. Because in reality, we like found a key. Like, all right, never mind, done with that. You know.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, I
What
mean,
if they mattered?
It like in reality, the reason why we never did more with the rest of the numbered keys, like it is actually like we wanted to, and there were a few times early on with like around the time of the Mountaineer where Matt and I would be in creative meetings and we would like try and come up with some clues that incorporated other numbers on the keys. But I honestly can't remember why we didn't follow through with any of them. I think it's because there was one and there was one time where we had actually decided that we wanted to make the rest of the keys just clues to this bigger story, and like it would kind of map out something that like something, it would create a big
It would visualize something.
it would visualize something, and it'd be like, whoa, okay, that was the purpose of the rest of the keys. We did it gave us this vital clue, but we never did that visual. And I'm having a hard time remembering why we didn't. I think it ended up just being like, oh, well, let's save it. Maybe there's something better in the future.
It was a lot. There was
a lot going on.
There was a lot of possibility with that.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really cool if each of those things, like what you were saying, or you were saying, is like a season of a different story, almost like how Goosebumps does. And like we take this key, this key 168 is, we pick it up and we try to figure out what's going on with it, and like immediately we get like a letter, and this letter is to coordinates, and these coordinates are to like a Disneyland locker, and like we go to Disneyland, we open up the locker,
I like that.
and
I like
it's
that.
Someone
Let's
writing
go to
this
Disney.
down, by the way?
Yeah, I know.
and then like we open
That's
it up,
such a good video idea.
and
It's
then there's
I
like
have-
there's a computer in there, and then we're off on another storyline.
was sent a
That's really
key
cool.
To Disneyland.
to a secret Disneyland locker.
I love that.
That would blow up, bro. Like,
That,
in,
it
like,
actually probably would, yeah.
everyone be like,
And then we open the laptop and there's a hidden Mickey on
Yeah,
the center.
we're
Find the
just
Mickeys.
following like a Disney conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Bro, why would that go viral though? Why do Anyways, on the topic, I kind of want to mix this with another what if I had, because Squid Game is huge right now. So my thought is like, what if like, how like everybody, like all those people in Squid Games have like numbers on them kind of thing? Like what if the key was your number and we actually had like a Squid Game, not so violent maybe, but like like what if like everyone kind of got kidnapped and just thrown into a Squid Game kind of, but like it was like a
Wipeout.
Project 863 version, where
Yeah.
it's like complete all these like boom, it becomes a challenge channel,
Oh God, no.
God, we're just Team Edge.
you either succeed or you're eliminated.
What
and-
does
and you
eliminated
gotta
mean,
keep your
Tanner?
key. At
Wait,
the very
that's
end of
actually
every
pretty
challenge,
smart.
you have to like insert your key and like use it.
I bet that would do
Last
really
to
well.
insert their key.
We're coming up with pretty good
That would
ideas.
be so much fun, and I would be so down to be thrown into a like, yeah, here's a wipeout course, like
Instead of
do
the little
it.
girl, it's
Yeah.
Deb
Like,
as a computer screen.
oh my god,
She's just
like,
running the games.
here are all of these challenges. But
Tanner,
like,
I think you're onto
think
something.
about the props, and I think about the set building. And
Yeah,
I
if we had
think
$1 billion.
about, yeah, I'm like,
What?
yeah, because
What's
I
been
I
different?
wouldn't want to do that like half.
Just rent out the wipeout.
I wouldn't want to do that half cheeked. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
no, that's a lot of.
in order to
writing,
pull it
too.
off and for it to not come off as just like YouTubers doing challenges, like we would need like production value.
Yeah,
You know, like-
I would need people.
I do think it'd be really cool to do
It's
something
a
like
fun
that
idea.
in the like 863 universe. Yeah, like same like
Escape room. Why don't we
characters
just
and,
do an escape room?
Yeah.
I've thought about this so many times, and I'm like, I want to just get like locked into a room and we escape. Like,
I have one more what if.
You do it.
What if we had never told the audience that it wasn't?
Oh, such a good what if.
I think we'd probably be sued 3 times.
I think we
But
would
like,
be,
how would we have to make that work?
I think we would be like, I'm gonna be honest. I think we'd be like so famous.
Really?
I do think we would be.
Wait, so question, like are you saying if we went
That's a good
along
one.
at some point.
if
You
we
know?
went on the same storyline, or like
Yes.
the storyline would be dictated by whether or not we told the audience if it was real?
Well, I would say that, yeah, our goal would be to not let the audience know and to just keep this story going while, having the audience.
Would we ever
We would
have
have to
the
shift.
disclaimers and the
Well, I mean, we definitely wouldn't have like those disclaimers. We might have specific disclaimers that say like, please don't reach out, please don't like, please don't interact with what's going on right now because we have plans. We don't want things happening that will foil our plans to get what we need. And then we would definitely have to like. I don't know. I would, that's what my thinking is. Like, we would definitely have to take precautions at a certain point.
Yeah.
Well, I think we would have security, and we would probably, if that happened at this point, we would have a security team again, and we would probably have convinced the property manager to let us build a fence at this property.
It would have gotten super real.
I
Yeah.
also think, I think we would have had a lot of fan encounters in places that we maybe wanted them or maybe didn't want them, but I also think we would have gotten a lot of press.
What about
Yeah.
what about like in terms of how we filmed things? So like, let's say like one like maybe like one example would be like when we got locked into that safe, right down under the basement of that location 2 or whatever. What would the camera angles look like? Would we even be like worried about cameras? Like, would we even be like, you know what I mean?
I think
Kind of.
possibly.
Or would we be able to better explain away not getting footage? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we would. Because
Yeah.
Matt's done that. Right? Like
Yeah.
when it was real, he did that with like, remember you guys filmed, who did the reaction? Was that Sam that did the reaction or Woods? Somebody did a reaction. Maybe it was Matt. Somebody did it was Matt who did this reaction, sorry. But for Behind 863, where he reacted to the video that no one was ever supposed to see, which was like, you guys were filming a previous video and you guys showed them like the Mountaineer where it wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah.
And in the video, and no one really caught it except for like a few people, but then you guys noticed, you're like, oh snap. And so Matt had to explain
that's right.
and like plug it in, but it totally worked, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the reason it becomes more compelling in that sense too, even though like Sam said, not safe to be doing that because it creates this realm of unpredictability, which no one really loves. But it's because at that point you have like 3 different fields. You have like believers, you have non-believers, and then you have doubters. And I think
Skeptics.
yeah,
that-
skeptics.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
skeptics, you need skeptics in like a good mystery, right? And in terms of like skeptics are like the ones who kind of keep watching the most. I feel like believers like I have to be there to see what's
True.
happening because they really believe it's real, you know? Like the non-believers, they're either going to completely just not watch it or like they'll just be entertained even though they don't believe it's happening. But then you have the skeptics who are like, I kind of got to see because there's the lingering question of like, how is
Totally.
this still how is this happening? Like,
Totally.
is it real or is it not? And it got so deep to where my younger sister, who I didn't even know watched their content, was like, hey, is that like happening?
We had
Yeah.
full-grown adults
Neighbors
calling the
across the street
businesses
are
around
like, are
us.
you guys okay?
Yeah.
And so it's like, and it
Wait,
wasn't
I
that
didn't
they
know that.
Oh yeah, we had full-grown men calling businesses around us to ask if we were okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone asked a business they
Skeptics
called
are
like
powerful.
the sign business over there who called Kevin and was like, "Hey, people are calling us. Are you guys okay?" Oh, God. So it was like I think security became a big issue.
Well, and I think like on the note of skeptics I think are the ones who make or break content like this. Like because if you think about it, like all the categories you listed, people who believe it aren't going to be like sharing it on Twitter being like, oh my God, I mean, maybe they will be. People who don't believe it but enjoy it for entertainment, like aren't going to be like posting it everywhere. Skeptics who are like, I don't really know, are going to be the ones like posting it to Twitter or posting links going
Calling.
like, can you believe these people are doing this? Or like, what do you guys think? Like, I can't tell if this is real or not.
Right.
It's exactly that. It's that same like little bit that causes people to believe things that are so obviously like it's like the the theories like what's that? The C word, C theories.
Conspiracies?
Conspiracy theories. Sorry, I couldn't think of the word conspiracy. But I think that's why like it would become something like that, you know?
Yeah.
And it's so powerful because when you believe something, you connect something that you've experienced that no one else has experienced, like outside of everything. And then you see like some similarity with how we're reacting and how everyone else is saying. It feels like you're in on something. It
Yeah.
feels like, oh, we know something no one else is seeing, you know?
Yeah.
And I think
Exactly.
it becomes just like such a powerful ball of energy. And I think it was gonna get like to like You know, like everyone's going to be like, what's actually
It's kind of like the
Exactly.
flat Earth society. Like, no offense to any flat earthers out there,
Yeah.
but you know, like like the majority of the population, without a doubt, understands that the world is round.
Yeah.
Not because they've seen it, but because they've seen the science. You know, they've seen like why it makes sense.
Also may have seen it.
They might have seen the curvature of the Earth on a building at the top. You know, yeah, we're on an airplane. And you know, like flat earthers have all their reasons for believing what they believe.
Sure.
But the community is so powerful. Like what you were saying, it's so freaking powerful because
It makes you almost believe, bro.
Totally.
but you know, also like how is it that you have such a concentrated population of people who believe in one thing that the majority of the population just absolutely disagrees with? And yeah, it's because of all the things you've listed off. Is like, well, there's just that group mentality, but there's also that aspect of like, oh, I understand this like conspiracy.
I'm a part of this.
I'm a part of this. This is like my team where we truly understand. And I'll just disclaimer: nobody truly understands anything. So don't attack me in the comments.
Wow,
Nobody
that's a really
understands
great PR
anything.
blanket statement. You know, just for the record.
I don't understand
For the
anything.
record,
You
no
don't
one
understand
understands anything. So
Just go to our members list. It's okay. He's like, just in case the president sees this.
Hey, I don't know. I mean, they thought the story was real.
But,
So.
you have fair. But I think I think you touched on a good point of like, and this is where we can close up on, is that the power of belief versus fact, right?
yeah.
Facts are not powerful. Like they're not. They are what they are. You know what I'm saying? As factual as they can
They're
be.
quite literally facts.
But there's no reason for discussion. It's like that's why newspaper articles don't just like put out facts.
Yeah.
Because no one cares. It's like, no, tell me tell me the gray area in between.
Yeah.
And where should I stand is what everybody wants to
Tell
know.
me the big surprise, the
Yeah.
big,
The big reveal, the big
Yeah.
The mystery.
it's like it's the context in between, the tension, right? And
Yeah.
so it's like once you take that out, then it's like, well, then how do we do it? And so that's like, it's fascinating.
I don't know. Maybe we just end the season like at the very end by saying it was, and I think I've said this to you before, but like,
real the whole
but he
time.
was saying it was this story was actually real.
That'd be crazy.
Wouldn't that be
That
so
would be
funny?
like- We just said
Gaslight
that.
the audience.
If I was watching that, I'd be like, what?
Wait,
I
what?
got a
And then
Game
they
of
go
Thrones
back and
ending.
watch all of our content again.
Yeah. And then you say like we did it to protect you.
Oh my God, the gaslighting
Straight
of the
up.
century.
The biggest gaslight in the history of YouTube
Gaslight.
content. That's so funny though, because I would, if I saw it, I'd be like,
No.
your mind would just be melted. You'd be like, wait.
Yeah, and then we just do a
I trusted
recap,
you.
like a quick recap of like, yeah.
Shows all the faces, all the people, all the pain.
Oh my God.
Oh man. Well, thank you guys for watching this episode of Behind 863. Do me a favor, and we can kind of like, if we get them consistently, naturally this is going to just our members, right? So thank you for being a member, by the way.
members.
We really appreciate it. I speak for myself in saying that I do, but I know they do as well.
Meh.
And, and on like within all that, I kind of want to like interact with you guys a bit more and get like your guys' takes as well instead of us just talking to you. So go over to the Behind 863 Reddit, behind863.reddit.com, because I feel like that's the easiest place for me to find a lot of stuff. No one's really posting over there anymore, so we'll just mainly be a lot of members. But yeah, leave your what ifs, and maybe we can take maybe like a what if an episode as long as you guys post them, and we
That's
can
fun.
discuss the what if.
I like
that. Yeah, what is the what if? We've been doing that with like other Reddit stuff, but I think that'd be fun. So
Yeah, I like that.
Cool.
yeah, thank you guys for watching this episode of 863. We'll see you next time. Also, this podcast was real the whole time.
Surprise.